It's done as it is now, and it's starting to get hard.
Mutation is very difficult.
3 or 4 times as much growth as a dream. If you want the opportunity, it's got to have crises. It must have broken down. Fortunately, there's a chance that it will grow. And it's going up slowly. I think it's a chance to multiply by 5 times 10.
It's not.
Sir, donate. In the past, we shared it with each other.
Then you said,
in those deals you invest and speculate.
I need a story. It's big.
Then you decide you're in. I can share this reason with you today. The history of why you found this element. So that you can succeed in the deals you invest in. My brothers said before that F shares later. You yourself see that the stock's success is also due to the story. The first is technology. The second is that there's a US TPG fund invested in before getting on the floor. It's made such a powerful breakthrough. I didn't realize it at the time. I gradually understood that. A stock that wants to go up. If there is to be a breakthrough, there must be a fascinating story. In the future, maybe profit in the future. Or changes in the product. Changes in technology. That's huge changes. To create huge expectations for the future. The breakthrough is big enough. It can be short or long. If you want to fight long, and there's a big profit, I have to find the story. Maybe support the industry. Can support of a thing that foreign state investment policy. The F deal. After you invest in the fairy tale, the story behind the fairy tale. Let me decide to invest. What was it like? The business of the commercial is also one of the deals. Your success. I think it's a lucky thing to do. You didn't find it yourself. In the process, it's you. I have a relationship with you. HSC is talking about the stock. Previous issue disorientation of year 2013. The reason it's also from 2008-09, it's a crisis. In year 2, not 10. You and the same man. Looking for the profits of the MB? Virtual above a Fuhuan Securities
That's the
company. Gold floor. And then there is a part. Is that we went to the bank deposit rate. The bank mobilized it very high.
It means you remember the peak.
In year 2, not 10. You and a friend are going to a bank. Vietnam believes in the bank. It later merged with the First Bank and Saigon Bank. It became CCB Bank. It has to do with the next 1,000 years. I was with him. And you have the same piece in there. It's to be negotiated at an interest rate of 24% a year. We send a year out. Not after about a month. That's the bank that merged with CCB Bank. We were looking for interest rates at the time because I think it's a risky market. Along with the previous exchange rate fluctuations, make little faith in the stock market. I realized later it's the peak of interest, because then the interest rate goes down to the bank. The state is reduced. Lower interest rates is the bottom of the stock. You play with a guy who is. At that time I kept working. If you buy a stock, you go ahead. I sat and said, why do you keep buying the stock? He said, yeah, I'm still collecting the winter stocks. If only he had kept it for now. Break even. And there may be about 230,000 left. Then back to the period. At the top, you sold it for 150. By 1070.89. Around there. To year 2, not 14. That's after you quit your job at PVP. Then you're back on the market. I met your brother. Are you talking about? Your son's box says the financial statements. Relatively fine, sir. I have a brother who is. Investment in the sub-box is relatively strong. And he's certainly studying in the United States. I studied MBA there. You're holding a relatively large baby box. You also see it as information. Remarkable to be interested in. This guy plays very close. I am a broker in Hakmaisi. In the process of finding out, I found two brothers sitting together. You said, well, this, I am fine. But it has a point. He has bad debt. A customer who is no longer able to pay. Like the Tricon project. Tricon Town is owned by Minh Viet Company, construction subsidiary company. But it ended up malfunctioning. You two sue each other for not paying that part. Kotekin has a reserve of 75 billion in the financial statements. You at the time. I dream a lot about the real estate market. I don't know if the real estate market is when we invest, the construction industry the real estate market is fine. The construction company is fine. I think the valuation is reasonable. The stock is attractive. Trading on the floor is very low. It can trade this 3,000. It could be up to 10,000. At that time, the charter capital was 422 billion. It has sessions where it trades only 500 shares. Your thinking is in terms of supply and demand. It costs around 50. It can't be thrown away. People who don't want to sell need to know the value of the stock. You must know the company
value.
doesn't sell. Of course, when buy high, yes, but buying low is not possible. Large charter capital. That private enterprise liquidity is so low. So I started to care. Dive into the financial statements. Find out what business it has potential for. So I can be a bet in the middle of bad debt. And the future of it. I see this first one. It's the industry leader. The most difficult time of the year is 12. It's also available individually for Custo. That's about $525 billion. I remember the $25 million. It's raised a lot of money. And when interest rates are so high and raise foreign money, while being a competitor, those who are directly involved in the peace process owe a lot. The second business. Your ferry is the first to raise money. Difficult times. It's a lot of cash, not a bank loan. You see, that point is an advantage of a business. Top career in a management industry is good. Then you also learn about Nguyen Ba Duo. I think the brand is relatively good because I also know one. I studied in Russia and was born at the age of 9. It's called Hai. I also know that Yang was born in the 9th year. Also went to school in Russia. He said his personality was fine. That business has built that barrier to join the competition. Then it's easy now to have a competitive advantage. There must be a human operator or how the administration is special. It's worth investing in because the rate of construction is so low. The peak of the company, you only get 8%. Rival company, only 5 to 6% is the same rate of return. So if that's, for example, you can't balance the profits and it only takes 1 or 2 debtors, make the cash flow of the business negative immediately. While being a ferry, you are the cash flow. It always I see their strength in it. Then you care and you start buying. In the process, you find out a year after the business, his career has just broken in July of the year 2-15. There was an article talk about Mr. Nguyen Ba Duo. After that article, about a week ago, it's a new stock. In the story you can see, especially if the company has an advantage, in that industry, then the profit margin was higher than normal. Plus, you use the rumor part very carefully. That means you also know a brother. I'm very confident that you're funny. From there, I believe I can invest. Right? It's also part of what I do. Of that business, I feel that at least business that the general contractor must continue as big investor after the bottle. Year 2, not 13. I see this ferry is suffering a lot. The big building, this Master Eye. Golden View is a very large investor. Even in the Great Light, you see the projects. Their side is starting to get huge. And they're starting to shift to the model. That's leading in Vietnam on DNB. It means designing and building. In charge of the design. Give the most services to the investor. And from there, it's a breakthrough. And more than that, stronger. They're starting to the field. Industrial construction. Your ferry side is getting a contract with 2 Chinese companies. It's about dying. The 2 factories that built it are about 2,000 billion. So those are the breakthroughs. Go to the 4. phase. The business it manages. Stronger in a new direction that's designed and built. We have just turned to industrial construction to welcome FDI. The works it on continuously. Actually, the capitalization at that time of Codicon, at that price, it's only about 2 trillion. The revenue at the time was, it's almost 5,000 for a leading business like that. It's worth investing in a future. The story you see is the story I tell. I learned a lot about this profession. To this board and new contracts of the company. I'm also very aware of the risks of the industry. The human factor is very important. You judge that where you put billions. It's also pretty big on public dividends. It is not as big as EFT. But it's also relative. Your luck is also, I met a man. Go back to Russia and you're doing the right thing in construction. He's able to assess his industry expertise. I remember he was still investing. Construction company goes to school before itself. The sea. I also work at the river company. Then you came back. You specialize in stock investing. Since 2002 or 2005, I know that this high in BSc. You played very well. So at that time, I asked if you knew about the construction industry. What assessment on the side? I was out on the street. You only see 3 main companies. It's Codicon and Delta Peace. Delta is not listed. I thought Delta was a foreign company, but later I knew. Of Vietnam. I know you can exploit a lot on professional matters and the human problem. I understand that governance is important to people, where the investment actually goes relatively large. I need people. When I invest beyond the growth story in business, we also focus on the administrator. Right. What about the manager? I think we can guarantee one factor so that I can believe. Give me your money to invest in the company. It's all about behaving with shareholders. I think beyond the skill of managing things, integrity itself is important. Now, businesses of Vietnam. Success is also about managers.
It's very integrity.
For example, Rees Bao Mai Bar. Vinamilk's future, for example. Trong Gia Bin of F. It means they're all very honest people. In addition to making money, people's passion, balancing the interests of shareholders, and whether they're talented or not,
into the company's business.
Right. Whether it's talent or not, you still have to show a number. The value of the business goes up.
I can't talk.
Your brand has also grown. Even like now, I feel like my decision is still right. Now I know it's a Kotekani after that. Nguyen Ba Duong he left about the conflict. The board of Kotekani now you set up companies. It's also very
in the construction
popular.
industry
That's
as
what
well.
you invest. And then when the deals you're speculating on are SAO. How is the story different? For the stories you invest in, when I identified speculation, the story is not big enough. I can also participate. The story expects it to be lower, but I also have a story. I know that if, for example, there's a problem, I can still handle it. If I just follow the rules or follow the wave of the market, I can't keep the goods or I don't have faith with the stock. Too short to join. You have to see one. The story is a little longer, but my expectations aren't too high. I'll follow the stock. If the cash flow is reasonable to enter,
let me in.
It means that outside of technical and market
then you will
factors,
too.
Compare the stories behind.
These are speculative stocks.
Whatever story it is, that's right. Maybe a profit story, maybe the story of raising money. If the period that's not attractive to raise capital, I shouldn't care about raising money either. When people raise money, they think they are fighting
to be released.
After that, the capital increase is no longer
because of the
attractive. Big uptrend. The increase at that time is that they get the crowd in. Capital increase Maybe completed. I can't even eat the stock. To release more, later on, investors will be smarter. They are older on the market. So it's something that raises capital that has to be effective. The story is just raising money. It's no longer attractive. For example, the company must have a project ready to raise money to do the project,
right?
Or the potential of the project has to be
or
big.
The source of income.
For something that's released, it has to invest. The future is brighter. People see more clearly. It's also easier to raise capital. And the people who buy it are more acceptable. Take the case of CUS VRV, for example. In that case, I see that you invested from the stage where it breaks out of the accumulation zone
10
of
you're
67.
Already in.
That moment was the reason.
And what's the story that gets you into that
phase? As you can see, it is also an unintentional into the rare earth phase. Rare earth prices and the rare earth potential of Vietnam. But people can pick it up. If you look at the market, you get a point like this. First, it's a little bit of a stock. It's a state corporation. The market was weak at the time. It is being sold abroad. The market is almost flat. Not much trading. I think it's simply cash flow. He's looking for profit. They all have to make a profit. Which story is easier to tell? It's easier to smoke money. There is a creator. It's slow and it's easy to bring the story in. Because the last story is it's still a price hike. If you can't make the stock go up, the story is not good anymore. So if you want a story, there's a price increase. They want to raise prices when cash flow is so weak. It's got to look for stocks that are specific. The market, you see the movement. The stock is stronger than the market. At that time, it brings together a very rare story. They suck the money. The speculator they call goes a little ahead. Maybe they got to that part. The important thing is to keep a following. I remember that period when the market was very There's weak. Only a few necks. I only played 2 of these Vs at the time. That's CUS VRV and TOS. You see, most of the market, it has no waves. There's only 2 of them. And you can join. I feel so terrible. First you have to judge. What is the state of the market, right? What's the story and what's the cash flow? I just started picking stocks. So the CUS VRV is also starting to make a profit. People have also started to gossip. The quarterly profit. There's a mutation. I don't care about the mutation. By the fact that it's profession and the amount of its stock. There's less stock outside of it. That's the demand at a time when the market, it's less money. The stock market trades it less. Second TOS, it also meets the criteria. Third TOS, it's a subsidiary of Newport. Relatively good business results are improving. The port industry was also on the rise. PHP things before it also emerged are trending. That's what I care about. In the short term, see the opportunity. Of course, when you join. In the short term, its weight must be reasonable. I didn't expect too much there. I can't eat even a CUS VRV. If you only go up to 200, you will sell it. Can no longer be kept. That's one of the things I found out early. Yes, and I joined early. So if every stock that you're good at right now, good story, I'm in. If it goes wrong, it's normal. How do you handle it?
What story?
You also have to manage
The
me.
last one is management.
That means I have to manage. For example, with the
You
COVID
see,
story,
I see the moment.
and the one that analyzes it
I met the
thoroughly.
people that to be completely
It's
confident.
called responsiveness. What I'm still wondering about, I dare to go a little high. And later on, his principle was very
You go
strict.
to a certain level.
If it's not my intention anymore,
Not in my mind, I quit.
it's very simple administration.
Because actually,
each story will have a different perspective. In the world, for example, it's a different
But in the end
perspective. That view is what the future will look like. Whether it's Warren Buffett or Soros, they all have the same perspective. Although a speculator, it's an investor. It's the same thing that we all do.
Wrong
For example,
valuation.
stock pricing. The future of the stock is huge. Then people fight, or the stock is overvalued. It's like you burn.
will you sell it?
So everyone's point of view, read the story differently. The ability to read a story is the most difficult. I think in the market, reading stories is the hardest. I can't find enough information to read either. So that's what's important about governance. Not that I read a great story. Either we go all out or margin is not enough. When I invested in real estate stocks, so the story is this money pumping story. The man who gave birth to this land
Then
did
this
not give
company has
birth. Projects that are terrible. Multiply the money with the project that should maybe the
raw.
stock has to go up in the
I
millions.
almost believe
For
it.
you, the new investors, when listening to a media story or to your ears, what steps should I take? How to ask questions so that you don't get
It's
hurt.
called
Having cases where you are. Buy from the bottom to the top. Always clinging to the bottom in the end cannot
The
lock
story
any
I
profit.
think is the most important.
It's still the price. When I know the story, what's the stock going on? What state is it in? That state. It's too much. Or it's too big. The risk is high. If I like to participate, you have to bring the weight back very low. Like when you're in a fairy tale.
You see the future.
It's bright.
Stock it.
The book value at the time was nearly 50,000, so the risk is not high. If the risk is high, you have to be careful. The industries you read, that's the story. But the price has quadrupled by 3 times. It's not a story anymore. I am the one who knows later. It's reflected in the market too much. That means I didn't control the time.
My hope.
For example, I was a stock
X
at the
10,
time, then I expected to X about 5 more times.
That's 50 times.
It was a bit too much. Right.
It's
And
a little
secondly,
too much.
we've got to figure out what the market
What
is.
cycle
is the cycle of the market that matters
The cash
to you.
flow
It allows not in violent waves.
It's completely me.
You can achieve that goal like now. It's starting to get hard.
Mutation is very difficult.
3 or 4 times as much growth as a dream.
If you want the opportunity,
It's got to have crises. It must have broken down. Fortunately, there is a chance that it
But
will
it's
grow.
still
going up. I think the chances of multiplying by 5 times 10 are zero. Before I met the donor, I usually have a tendency. I have traveled a lot. Every time I see a market, it's
But
an
I couldn't make
opportunity.
a valuation at the time.
I don't know where the market is. Are you close to peaking, or are you in the
Or
accumulation
prepare for a
phase?
recession.
Then, most of the time, I've got some cash. Pretty good for me too. It means that if there's a crisis, there's you can buy this money and be financially free. That's why I saw the story that I joined. The market is reading an important story.
You yourself.
I'm also doing a GPT chat. My assistant found out. This story is based on my personal opinion. What criteria do I give? This story happens in the future, even if it doesn't move in the market. If that price action is another story, there's a technical signal. But what are the industries where we read the story? State investment in a power sector, for example. You'll see the story in there. For example, power rate. Which companies benefit from it when things haven't happened yet? What factors can be found? A business with a story behind it. Price increase in the future. Let's take this financial statement, for example. Has anything changed? Has the board changed anything? Not this big change. What new products to give? Is there a breakthrough in revenue and profit? Zoo. Credit growth of the state. It has a huge impact on the industry and stocks that have that story. All of those factors. I'm going to put in the AI because it'll give you more perspective. But suddenly I see a stock of mine. I didn't know this was the raw bullet. I have to think about 15. These 20 criteria here, it will bullet out for me. Default raw like that. If you go into the stock, you will see it's the bullet points. Does it meet that criteria? If it doesn't meet the grade, it's lower. Then I don't participate. If the score is higher, I will keep track. That means we have AI now. Support then the investment phase. His fairy tale is that you must meet Mr. High, then the broker on the side. But now it has AI. Maybe I'll find a stock sooner.
And the information is pretty accurate, right?
The information can be verified.
But the stock
wasn't much earlier.
Because AI is the same.
AI can also be used according to the way you think. How to find? I will personalize my stock according to my idea. For example, it fits the market.
Then we will allocate.
I am ready and trained like an AI.
Then it will come back.
Become a copy of my SAO. Support let me search faster. I thought of AI as a vehicle. It's not human. It doesn't have to figure it out. It's all the data. Or the thoughts. I have to put it into my mind. Let it work on that. And it gets all the information on the internet. Let it serve you. And all your thoughts are mine. It's about thinking about how it works. What is feedback? Tell him what to do. It all has to do according to its own mind. It means that if I make money, then I make a tough kid who's going to make money. Thanks to you. I didn't make any money before. He won't make any money.
Right?
It's harder. Personally, you're still in the administration.
The most important.
I'm still taking a management class. Each time there must be a different manager. To make my SAO more, the more I improve my ability to manage money, the longer you go on the market, the more cycles you will go through. As many cycles as possible I will manage, and psychologically manage it as much as possible. The possibility of losing money is reduced. Many new brothers and sisters, I think, the investment
when
is
they
hers.
first
Your
came
donation is dreamy. I'll find a stock that I can multiply assets very quickly. Your donation always comes with the fact that
That's the story.
it has to come with a scale. Suitable capital. Not that I like it so much. I read it all. I heard his story. All the times I've been in. It's also my lack of understanding. We all have the element of luck in it. Is it at a new time? Completely of the economy. Completely of equitization. The opportunity is much. And my fairy tale is that it was the market. It was
Tragically,
also from the... It comes out of
I remember
crisis.
when I was 2 or 13.
It's just starting to recover from the market.
2, not 14.
I just got in.
It's a little late. It's a stock.
That's more than double. The bottom is there, but the future is there. Because the cycle has just begun. You have to understand the cycle over and over again.
Of course.
The cycle it can't stand 100% is positioned. What it's still doing on a relative level.
And it's artistic.
It's more experienced. It's not that I impose. It's in this cycle. I look at how the market works. I feel like it's in this cycle. Associated with the whole economic cycle. Pumping money, I know. This cycle of Vietnam, it's still a growth cycle. That means the government still wants economic growth. So people are also willing to pump money. Money pump M2. What's important is if M2 turns into M1. So M2 is still a short-term deposit. Then but to 6 months.
It was a year.
It has to be turned into an M1 is what's called indefinite money. So that people are willing to shift investment. The interest rate must be low. People have to have opportunities in the market. People are ready to invest. But what you said is that you define the cycle. It's quite artistic, and it's a lot of experience. Take, for example, the current market. Is about, by 2025, I think it's pretty hard for the brothers and sisters. It means that now what I am doing, it's hard to get into an opportunity. You need a lot of knowledge about management.
That's right.
Looking at the market, I know it's constantly spinning. I just need to get one beat wrong. Can reload it into the adjustable beat. Into the adjustable beat without holding back must cut the hole. This section needs people. One is very quick. Go into exactly one stock. Yes, according to the market. For example, the stage. It's a real estate stock. It sucked money from the CEO or a novelant. That's typical of what it is. The stock has been cleaned. It took a long time for the money to come back. When you get on it too, they're like little people. If you're very suspicious, let's go up a little. If I jump in, maybe it is. But play market adjustment. It just keeps repeating itself. But I have to look at a long process. The stock must meet the criteria. For example, what kind of money does the government pump out? Flows into real estate. The Vietnamese. It's the easiest thing to get into real estate. Now gold is hard, and people see the difference. It's not at a low price anymore. Let it flow in. It has to fall out anyway. The real estate market and the real estate stock. The real estate stock. It's just speculative, right? But you can't invest for a long time. Of course, when we're talking to each other, I don't like the real estate market. Vietnam is at this stage. Maybe it's growing, but I don't find it attractive anymore. Of course, real estate stock. It's just speculation at this stage. Investment. I had a message this morning that he had a BCG.
BC
also seems to have real estate. It's at the bottom of society. You said the property you thought was good. And he saw the stock was cheap. And he said he's a long-term investor.
I think it's a lot.
You guys are just like me, a new entry. This is the story I learned very briefly. I don't know much about the market either. How does the stock market work? I only know that there is
I think I bought it myself.
If I get caught in a situation where I think
I have
I've
to
corrected,
understand anyway.
the money is now flowing into the market.
Real estate.
The first is that it's also in stocks.
A little universal.
Popular, a little more people know.
It can't be at the bottom of society.
But it can't be under fate. You don't like stocks under par.
It's all wrong.
What about stocks that suck money? At this stage, the state is also working towards a legal settlement
Of real estate.
probably create conditions
For what
the project is legally entangled with. Solve 2. Do you still pay debts to the bank? I'm going to direct stocks like that. It's in a short-term trend. Or medium-term money. But what if it's in stocks I don't know about? What is the project like? I don't know where to get it. It's harder. Fighting short-term and medium-term
requires
trends.
a lot of speed.
And the thing that handles cutting holes. Very quick to discipline, right? It requires a very high level
General
of management.
speculation.
It must be very experienced in
I
the
find
market.
it hard.
But what is it? I feel this stage is appropriate. It's like thinking like that, basically. I can feel the money flowing like that. Then I'm going to join some proportion and manage it tightly. Where are the brothers and sisters who are long-term investors? It is best to find good businesses, good brand. Buy it and keep it for a long time, right? Avoid raising stocks as the best stock. Thank you for the conversation today. I also know more about what it means to have an asset that goes up in price. There must be a big story behind it. Or steaming enough. It's easy enough for investors and it's simple enough. Simple enough, attractive. And most importantly, attract the crowd. When the crowd finds out and it gets the value, then I take the profit.